Hello everybody. Today we're going to be doing another programming exercise in chapter 5. Now this example is going to be about nested for loops. Let's say that you want to make a pattern that goes a bit like this. To do that, you're going to have to use some nested for loops. So, for example, you need to declare the variables I, you're going to have to declare the variables. You also have to declare j, or you could just declare it in this line. You don't need that many j. And that's pretty much it. Now, before starting to do this, you need to set I is equal to 1. Or you could just leave it like that. If you're going to use a for loop, you should do for I is equal to 1, because it's already right there. I is less than or equal to 5. And I plus plus every time this statement refreshes. Now, then you will enter, put in some curly brackets for j is equal to 1. J is less than or equal to I, comma, j plus plus. Now, for that, you will write in cout and write in an asterisk. Cout and do. So basically what this does here is I is pretty much the number of asterisks on I is pretty much the number of asterisks on the line, and j is the number of lines. So if you want to run this, you can run it. Now I accidentally forgot to put that. No, I accidentally forgot to put a semicolon instead of a comma. Now if we run it once again, you can get that. Now all that changes is the fact that you just need to change this little number. That number pretty much changes the whole thing. Not really anything else. As long as those variables are there, and the variables are in those places, as shown here, you should be pretty much good to go by making a nested for loop like this. Now I can't teach you every way to make a nested for loop, but I'm just hoping that showing you how to make one in this case will help you make better decisions while making one. Now I hope you guys now another nested for loop that you might want to make is possibly one that does something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 3, If you want to make like some sort of multiplication table, like this, I may not be the best example, but hopefully you get the gist of what I mean. You will also need to use some nested for loops. For example, example 1 would be a very similar code to this, to what we had here. Hold on. It would be a very similar code to what we had here, where I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to whatever number. I'm going to put in 5. I plus plus. And for j is equal to 1, j is less than or equal to 10, and j plus plus, C out, you can delete this, set W 3, I times j. Now if you run this code, you can see that I forgot to include the header file, hashtag IO. Hashtag include IO manip. Here we go. You can get one, as you can see, a bit like this. Now a way to make this different is if you want one to be pretty much like 100 by 100, you can get this. See? Now a little bit of clarification on this code if you do not understand. So I is equal to 1, pretty much kind of like what we did the last time, except for here it stays constant. But okay, so I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to 10, which means that this is the amount that you can go up to on the y-axis. This is the amount you can go up to on the x-axis. Y-axis, x-axis. Actually, I'm going to rename them to that so you can understand it better. So for each time this repeats, each time this repeats, it adds one y-axis. And this basically generates the entire line. So for x is equal to 1, right? For x is equal to 1, so x starts out as 1, and for each time, and if x is less than or equal to 10, it does this. Set W3, I times j. Now in this case, I will be 1, 1, 1. It will be I times 1. And then it will be x plus plus, 2 plus 1, 2 times 1, 3 times 1, 4 times 1, 5 times 1, 6 times 1, and so on and so forth. And then it goes to the next line, and now y is equal to 2. 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4. Now, I hope you understand this. If you do not, you can also look in the book, which gives a little bit of a better explanation than I do. Now, you can see that it's not actually very complicated when you take a look at it. The only scary thing about the for statement is that you have to understand what each of these three things do. If you don't already know, I will clarify it for you. So this is the value that it starts off with. As soon as this thing runs, it will set y to 1, and y will be less than or equal to 10, and y will be, and this is kind of the if statement from the while, and this is what happens. This is what executes each and every single time that the statement refreshes. Now, this is actually a for loop is actually pretty much the same thing as a while loop. The only difference is that a while loop is more suited to things that you don't know how much it's going to repeat, and you don't have as many, and you don't want many things to change after each repetition. Here's when you want things to change and refresh after each repetition, which is good in our case when we want to get something a little bit like this. And this can pretty much go on forever, except for the fact that we're going to have to give it bigger spaces. So set W4 might give you bigger spaces. You can see it gives us a space right there. So now the 100 and the 90 aren't literally touching each other. So yeah, if you want to make this little multiplication table bigger, you can alter it by increasing the set W, and alter it by increasing these two values depending on which numbers you want to show up. Now, I hope you guys had a good time learning with me in doing these nested for loops, and I hope you can implement these nested for loops into some of your own programs. Remember, sometimes it may not be obvious that you may need one of these, but trust me, they can help out a bunch when you do know when to use these. I hope you guys can have a great time playing around with these, and I'll see you next time. Bye.